Morning. This is Minister Peaceful Poet, and this is Minister Peaceful Poet. This is Good Morning, Minister Peaceful Poet number 7. We're going to talk about Iran and the Iran war, which I believe is coming to an end. Today, very strange thing happened, and you probably didn't hear about it on the news. I bet you didn't hear about it, or maybe it was just a blip, but that no connection was ever made. We'll just start from the very beginning. Um, First of all, a helicopter was shot down. And well, was it really shot down? I mean, Iran didn't take credit for it, which is strange, right? I believe that energy weapons were used from Israel to take it down, intentionally disabling the electronics so that it would go down, but it wouldn't harm the soldiers inside the helicopter, so that they could be rescued. I'm sure that that was the agreement that was made, because we couldn't have any soldiers killed. So, and because of this false flag, um, we decided to bomb Iran. And the strangest part about that, their utilities, we hit their utilities supposedly, but I couldn't confirm that with Grok or Leo AI. Neither one of them. I couldn't confirm that with them, but that could only be because CENTCOM isn't releasing that information to them. So that could be the only reason, but that still is kind of strange. So, in retaliation, Iran bombs against 18 of our bases. Now, earlier back, they got 27 of our bases. So there can't be much left of us in the Middle East there. But I don't think that's the main thing that happened. Like I said, there's a blip that you probably didn't hear about, or if you did, you just heard a blip. But a strange thing happened in the Pentagon yesterday. The Pentagon had been shut down, and a large sections of the Pentagon was investigated by hazmat crews, both locally and the Pentagon has hazmat crews, and that's all we know. That's all we know. And then after that, Trump says, "Oh, we're not going to." He was earlier saying that he's going to bomb the hell out of them, like he always does, but then he says he's not going to, and a peace deal is being worked out. So I think something happened that they're not telling us about, and we probably won't hear about it until, I don't know, maybe months down the road, if then. But something happened. Something happened, and I think we're going to see the end of the Iran war. And there's just Iran shot down one of our biggest missiles, non-nuclear missiles that we fired at them, and that shocked the hell out of the Pentagon. And Lebanon shot down one of Israel's most sophisticated drones. So I think we're seeing a turning point. I think what is going on is that the Galactic Federation is actually helping out here. I think they because of the sun, and I don't understand that, but because of the sun, they can't actually um, they can't actually communicate with us directly until the sun, settles down a bit. But I think they're starting to get involved. I think they're starting to get involved. Let me see if I can go back here. The Let's go all the way back to Jesus. Okay, I posted this I've been wanting to say this in a video, and I'm going to say it. I did post it on one of my accounts, just so that I can get it down on paper. Jesus is a hybrid, an extraterrestrial, and an extraterrestrial came down and had sex with Mary, and Mary became pregnant with a hybrid, Jesus, and that's who Jesus is. And what did Jesus come here to do? Extraterrestrials have been visiting this planet for eons. And there's a rule that you can visit other planets, so you can observe, but you can't get involved. You can observe, but you can't get involved. But that rule has been broken over and over and over again, many, many times. And so you go back in history, the gods or God, the jealous God, Jehovah, uh, or Yahweh, uh, wasn't God. It was an extraterrestrial, but pretending to be a god and getting involved in with us in ways that weren't um, were illegal. Were illegal. Went against the rules set forth by the Galactic Federation. And this has gone on for a long, long, long time. And so Jesus came to undo that. See, now Jesus, again, they're not supposed to get involved with us, but they had to in order to undo what had been done. And if you've read the Bible, okay, if you haven't quit now, which you may have already turned my video off because you got upset by what I just said, I do apologize. I hope you didn't. Hope you're still listening. The 10 Commandments are pretty good. They're pretty decent. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not covet. But the God who gave these 10 Commandments to Moses, what did he do? He asked his chosen people to murder. I mean, read the Bible. A lot of you Christians haven't read the Bible. Read the Bible. You'll be shocked and surprised by what you read in there. But they're basically ordered to go in there and just kill everything. Everything. Don't leave anything animal or person. Burn down all the burn down all the crops and slaughter all the animals. Everything is to be killed. He kind of settled down a little bit after that, and then he allowed for them to keep the crops and keep the cattle, but just kill all the people. And then further down, I guess his heart got a little bit mushy, and he just ordered them to kill just the men. You can keep the women for servants, but you can't marry them. But doesn't this go against the 10 Commandments? Doesn't the 10 Commandments tell you do not steal, do not kill? But yet he is ordering them to steal and kill. So when you read this, this should click. This should click. But it doesn't click because we're taught to believe that God is, or this God in the Bible, is almighty, all powerful, righteous, doesn't never do anything wrong, etc., etc. And that's in our head. So no matter what he does, we will believe that it's okay, even though the law says it's not. Because we're easily brainwashed, unfortunately, because that's the way we were created. We were created to be a slave race, and so we were taught created to take orders and do as we're told, be servants. So Jesus comes along, and Jesus teaches us a lot of things, and the things that Jesus teaches us are awesome. Okay, and Christians should follow those things, but they really don't. A lot of them don't. A lot of them just say, well, he died for us. He died for us. That's the whole thing. Almost the entire Gospels. He died for us. He died for us. He died for us. But what about what he taught for us? What did he teach 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 us? That's what we should be paying attention to. And I probably even more, because I'm not no saint, trust me. But he taught us. He came here to teach us. But he came here to do something else too. He came here to die for us. And this is something that was very difficult for me to understand. And I don't know if I have a full grasp of it or not, but I think I do have a somewhat of an understanding. He died for us for two reasons. One reason is because he would be persecuted under the law, the false law that was given to us that we were forced to follow by the false God. Because there is a true God, okay? The true God is the universal spirit. I guess that's the best way to explain it. The true God is the universal spirit. That's the best way to explain it. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that. This video will be too long. But so he came here and he was persecuted under the law falsely. Here's someone who did nothing wrong, who healed the sick, walked on the water, taught us great wisdom, and yet they used the law to kill him. And that makes the law unjust. So now the law has become unjust. It is no longer lawful. So now we are no longer under the law. Okay? So that was one reason he died. And the other reason he had to die is because this made him a martyr. And if he had not become a martyr, we would probably not be hearing about him today like we do. We probably wouldn't have churches all over the world if he hadn't become a martyr. But because he became a martyr, he became worshipped. And churches were created. Okay? So those are the two reasons that he had to die. Now, I bring this up because someone had posted online all the scriptures about how Jesus was resurrected. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm guessing. You have a hybrid who is extraterrestrial and human. And if archaeologists was to discover his body, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years after he died, they would discover through DNA testing that he was not 100% human. And this might affect, again, we're not supposed to interfere with the humans. We're only supposed to observe. Well, this would change things if we had discovered this earlier on. So this could not be discovered. This had to be kept secret. So this is the reason why on the third day he was resurrected again. They came and they took his body so that we couldn't find this out. Okay? Now you have two religions who believe in Jesus. And I know a lot of you don't know this, but Islam believes in Jesus. Okay? So you have two religions that believe in Jesus. You have Christianity and you have Islam. Christianity came first. And it was doing pretty good. If you study the early church, they all shared with one another. They all helped one another. The word spread all over the place. They loved one another. It was all good and great and all this wonderful stuff. And then the Catholic Church comes along. And I wish I had the history on this because I don't, but I wish I did. I'd just like to see how it happened. But you have the Romans who are trying to kill Christianity. They're doing everything. I mean, there's a book called the Gospel of Paul. It was never included in the Bible because there's so many of these books that weren't included in the Bible because they claimed they were false. Well, of course they claimed they were false because it talked about Rome. It talked about how Rome tortured the Christians, and it was awful. It was terrible. And this is why it was included in the Bible, because Rome didn't want you to know about that. It's horrible torture. But they tried to do everything possible that they could to destroy Christianity. And the more they tried, the greater Christianity became. So what they did instead, and whether they actually planned this out or Satan, and to be honest with you, I really don't know what Satan is. And I'm not going to talk about that. I know a lot more about God and Jesus than I do Satan. I don't know a whole lot about Satan. But it could have been Satan who did this rather than people just figuring this out. But anyways, somehow the Roman government becomes the Catholic Church, and I don't know how that happened, but I do know that the first pope of the Catholic Church was a Roman emperor who converted to Christianity because he saw a vision. And so he stopped the persecution of Christians and then sought to lead them by becoming the first pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? Strangely, that sounds a lot like the story of Paul, which I'm not going to say that the Apostle Paul didn't exist. And there wasn't a man going around teaching these teachings, because some of these teachings that Paul taught are pretty good. But I do believe that the scriptures have been kind of maybe rewritten a little bit, and they kind of added the story of the first pope who was a Roman emperor who became a Christian, and they just changed his name to Paul and threw it in the scripture. That's what you're reading. Because it's just so too similar. It's just too similar not to believe that that's not true. And I know some of you out there are taught that the Bible is the Word of God, and it isn't. It isn't. It's just inspired word, and anything that you write just about anything you write is inspired. Okay, so inspired word doesn't mean anything, and any book was considered scripture back in those days. Today, only them old books are called scriptures. So you were taught all these things, I know. And again, we're so easily manipulated because we were created to be manipulated. And but we're waking up. We're waking up. A lot of our DNA is being, dormant DNA is being turned on. Matter of fact, I saw something where one new strand has actually been turned on. So we are waking up. We're becoming stronger. We're not being deceived so easily anymore. The Christian church became corrupted. Okay, it was no longer the church it was no longer the religion that Jesus wanted. Let's just say that. And so Islam was created. And you know the history of Islam. It seems that, and Buddhists do it too, so do Hindus. It seems that people get this religious fervor and the self-righteousness and the ego, and it all just comes together, and it turns into an awful thing, terrible thing, where people are tortured and killed and punished and judged and condemned and all that kind of stuff, which is not the way it's supposed to be. But that's why Islam came about, to combat Christianity. And that's what we have in this world today. So now the Greys and the insectoids weren't involved in this Christianity or this false god thing, okay? That was earlier. They came later. But still, they were a problem. So the Galactic Federation, what they did was they waged war on their planet so that they would have to leave this planet. And that's what they did. That's how they got them out of here. And so now the Galactic Federation, after they got rid of them, put like a thing around the Earth to prevent any other extraterrestrials from visiting us. And I know you've heard that there are reports of UFOs and stuff like that, for decades. But a lot of this stuff was stuff we did. A lot of the stuff was we created. A lot of the stuff we reversed engineered. Some of this stuff we got from the Greys and the insectoids. I don't think they worked with us. No, I won't say that. I don't know what the insectoids did with us, but they're all I know is that they're the worst of the worst. But but the Greys did work with us. They worked with our governments, and so they probably helped us create some of this stuff. But they're gone. And the insectoids are gone. So all we have now is the Galactic Federation, and they've removed this barrier around the Earth so that other extraterrestrials can now visit us again, observe us, but they're again not allowed to get involved with us. But a new rule was made that if we ask for help, then they can help us. But of course, we have to first know that they exist. And this is why I don't like making videos, because I'm not real good at this. I'm just not real good at explaining things, but I'm real good at writing things. I can write this down and it makes a lot more sense. But when I sit here and I try to explain it to you, I just have a hard time with it. I do apologize, and I hope I didn't turn you off. But so that is why the Galactic Federation is helping Iran. I believe that's what's happening right now. That's how they're able to become so advanced so quickly, and we can't beat them. And I think this is going to end real soon. And I've said this in the past, and I'm going to say it again. And this might sound completely crazy, but and it's probably coming soon now. Probably coming very soon. But not Israel, Iran and the United States are going to become very good friends. Yeah, yeah, believe it or not. And you're going to learn that Iran was such a bad thing, awful thing. They weren't so bad after all. And we will be more accepting of the Christians will be more accepting of the Muslims. We won't hate each other so much. And a lot of this stuff, you guys, I've said this in the past, you don't understand. There's some of the traditions of the Arab world are horrible, terrible. They stone women and things like that. That isn't Sharia law. That's Arab traditions. Okay, and Arab traditions are terrible. And before you judge the traditions of the Arab world, remember the horrible stories about how we treated the Indians, horrible stories about how I just saw a story where we hung 30 of them all at one time. Yeah, so we're not so great either. So let's not judge a whole group of people based on the failures of a few. Okay? Most people are good. That's a fact. Most people are good. And I don't care what religion, I don't care if you're an atheist, I don't care if you're man, woman, child, old person, young person, what color your skin is. You're probably a good person. A few of us are bad. A few of us are bad. And you cannot judge a whole group of people based on that one bad apple. Okay? You can't and you shouldn't. It's lazy. That's what it is. It's lazy. You're just being lazy. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to try to dissect it. You don't want to study it. You just want to just paint it over and say, yep, they're all like that. And we got to stop that. We got to stop that. We all got to get along in this world, and we will. And we will. And there was another thing I was going to explain to you. There's a scripture that says, father of lies. Yeah, that describes Satan as the father of lies. Now, I want you to think about this. I know even those of you who support Israel know that they are lying to us, that they've been lying to us, that they do lie to us. I know you know this. Excuse me. Will realize that Satan is the father of lies. So they are following Satan. They're not the chosen people. And like I said, us and Iran are going to become really good friends. I don't know what's going to happen to Israel. I would like to think that Israel would become Palestine again. I would like to think that that will happen. But good chance it probably won't happen. But just like here in America, where us and Native Americans can seem to get along okay, and in Australia, the natives and the English Australians are able to get along okay. Probably the Israelis and the Palestinians will learn to get along okay and live together. I think that's what will happen. Um, there's rumor that a lot of people are going to die. And I do think that that is going to happen. Okay. And I explained this somewhere. The one of the reasons why we're going to war with Iran is the Iranians are not fully vaccinated. No, no, 70% of them received a vaccination, but that's just one vaccination. When you go to the third vaccination or the flu shots or all the other vaccines, very few of them are up to date. Very few of them. These vaccines have, um, oh shoot. See, I have brain damage. I'm going to admit this right now, and I just can't remember names of things. But these vaccines have things in them. I can't remember what it's called, but that allow electronics to, I won't say control you, but to affect you so that they can plant thoughts in your head, make you think things that you yourself wouldn't normally think. And the reason, one of the reasons why they're building these data centers so that they can have much more control, and so much control so that there would be an off switch where they just flip the switch off, you're dead. Your heart will just stop. That's what they want to do. And I do believe that they're going to probably won't fully succeed like as much as they hoped, because so far they haven't. So far they're losing, and so far they're way behind. But there will be some success, and they're going to turn that switch off for a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to die, and that's probably going to happen the first part of 2028. So I just thought I'd put that out there, and that's one of the reasons why we had to try to destroy, Iran, and so that we can get all the Iranians vaccinated, and because they're not under the federal banking system like the rest of the world is. In Iran, did you know that you can get a loan? You can go to the bank, get a loan, and not have to pay interest because it's Islamic law. It's against Islamic law to charge interest. Yep. So bankers can't make no money off that. So that's another reason why uh, we had to go to war with Iran. And the third reason we had to go to war with Iran is because it's just profitable. It don't make no difference if Iran bombs $1 billion worth of our equipment and takes it out. For the billionaires, that's all profit. That's all profit because the military industrial complex will just make more, and of course that's just all profit for the billionaires. So they don't care if there's losses, and they don't want peace. They want the war to continue as long as possible because the longer it goes, the more money they make. Sad but true. But that's going to change. We're going to fall under this new financial system, and I don't know how that works. I don't know how it works, but it will happen. It will come. It will come to fruition. And another thing, I learned this recently. This is going to surprise you. Did you know that Mexico is the richest country in the world, but they don't know it yet? Apparently, silver is worth as much or more than gold, but because of fraudster kind of activity, like with diamonds and gold are being overpriced to keep the rich people on top. But we're reaching this age of Aquarius where all the truth will come out, and so that the correct pricing will come out, and you'll find silver will be worth as much or more than gold. And when that happens, you will see that Mexico is the richest country in the world because they have more silver than any other country in the world. Yep. And I'm sure Trump's going to figure that out real quick. And when he does, he's going to try to make Mexico the 51st state. If he lives that long, because I did have that dream where he died while flying over France. thing about dreams is you enter into a different dimension. And some things in that dimension happen in this dimension. Some things in that dimension don't happen in this dimension. So, and sometimes things that are supposed to happen don't happen because the timelines twist or change. So it's a possibility, but it's not always concrete what you dream. Anyways, I that's about all I got for you now. Anyways, love and peace. Take care out there.